On Wednesday the 3rd of November 2004, our lives began a journey. We had just moved to a new house, so wanted a dog to make our family feel a little bit more complete. We went to a breeder who had every breed available in a litter. All I could hear were puppies crying, squeaking and barking, and it only got louder when we entered. We walked past the terrier breeds and saw a litter of little black Labrador puppies. My mum and my little sister were making a fuss of them all, who were excitedly running around on top of each other at the affection that they were getting. The litter next to it had 2 boxer puppies in. One was dominant and one was quiet and just laid down staring. The breeder told us that the dominant one was a male and who was sold, but the female was the runt of the litter and currently had no home. I simply fell in love with her. Her brother stood on her head, and it was at that point I knew, at just 11 years old, that she was the one. At just 3 months old, we took her home, and she was all legs and sat timidly in my arms at the back of my car. Immediately we took her to my grandmother's, who fell in love with her too. We had a family debate of what to call her, but we eventually settled on Maisy. It just seemed to be perfect for her. Growing up, she'd see me cry, see me laugh, see me argue and shout, and licked my face when I went through my first heartbreak. She'd see me all throughout secondary school, college, university, and all of my jobs. She's met every boyfriend, every friend, every postman and every gasman. We took her everywhere, to the forest, to the beach, and even on family holidays. Maisy reached 10 years old in August 2014, and it was then that she began to slow down. A dog who once loved her long walks in the forest and fields was now a dog who wasn't keen on going for walks anymore. Her legs were stiffening and she would get out of breath quite quickly. She no longer had the energy to play, and all she wanted to do was curl up beside your feet and sleep. She then began to have strange episodes where her whole body would collapse and it would take her a few minutes to get over it. We put it down to old age in her legs. The second time she did it, however, we decided to take her to the vet. They were sure it was old age too and prescribed her some meds to help the stiffening of her legs. My parents then went on their honeymoon, and I looked after Maisy for a week. I had to hide her meds and pizza and jam on toast just so she would eat them. She perked up again, and all seemed fine. A month before Christmas, Maisy had her first seizure. She collapsed again, but this time started shaking as if she was having a fit. My dad works in the health service and said she was showing signs of a stroke. However, it kept happening every couple of weeks, and it would leave her lethargic the next day. She stopped eating and just kept drinking bowlfuls of water. We took her to the vet and they tested her kidneys and bladder. The tests came back negative, so we knew it wasn't internal organ failure. So we decided to see how she went. She seemed to be fine over the lead up to Christmas, but this was when my nan fell really ill in a life-threatening situation. We were all left devastated and just prayed that she would make it through okay. Maisy seemed to be better meanwhile.
Oh my God!
That night, Maisy was really quiet, and so we decided to call it a night. After getting into bed, I heard the same screaming sound and knew she was having yet another seizure. This time my parents were both home. When I ran downstairs, she was trying to back herself into a corner, climbing underneath the smallest coffee table as if to run away from the pain. Again, she had wet herself because she was so scared. We decided to take her to a 24-hour animal hospital at about 1 AM. Within 2 minutes of driving away from the house in the car, Maisy began making a crying noise as if she knew she was dying and knew where we were taking her. After arrival at the animal hospital, the vet said she was having what's called cluster seizures, and it was most likely a tumour on the brain. They said they could run the same tests to see if she was having kidney failure, but it was unlikely due to her symptoms, her age and her breed, as boxers are prone to cancerous tumours. The vet ran through our options with us. We could either have the tests done, book her in for an MRI scan, leave her there overnight and report to the local vet in the morning, or end her suffering and put her to sleep. We couldn't bring ourselves to do just that, so we decided to leave her overnight. So if she was to have another seizure, she would be in the right place. My parents returned to the hospital at 8 AM to pick her up and take her to the vet. They gave her some drugs to relax her and she remained sleepy for the rest of the day. At about 1:30 PM, everything changed as again that same noise filled my ears. She was seizuring again. Immediately me and my mum broke down and my dad tried to calm Maisy down as much as possible. He held her so close and we all knew that this was it. Maisy was suffering. My mum rang the vet and broke down, but they told us to come down straight away. My dad went to get ready. and me and my mum sat with her. She was very lethargic again, and I kept stroking the bridge of her nose, which she's always loved. 5 minutes before leaving the house, she seizured again, and this was the final moment we knew we had to say goodbye.
Darling, stay with me.
We met my sister and all travelled together to the vet hospital. Maisy was in the back of the car, and I pulled down the seats so she could see us all, and so she knew we were all there. The vet nurse came out of the car to meet her. We were taken into a room, and she was put onto the table and laid down. We all stood around her, showering her in kisses and cuddles, while she panted away, just looking like an ordinary happy dog. The nurse came in and apologised for what was about to happen, but that it was the best solution to end her pain and suffering.
Oh, won't you stay with me? 'Cause you're all I need. This ain't love.
She left us for a few minutes to spend some more time with her, and then returned with a needle. She said there would be 2 needles, and the first one was just to relax her. Maisy then became quiet and went into an almost paralysed-like state. She stopped panting and just continually stared at my mum whilst my dad held her in his arms. I said to my mum, "She's looking at you, you know." Maisy just kept on staring. Then her head turned to me and she did the exact same thing to me. My mum then said to me, "She's now staring at you." She did the same thing to my sister. It was like she was reliving the memories with each one of us individually. It was like her life was flashing beyond her eyes.
To the man instead. Still tomorrow comes, still standing on my own.
The vet nurse then came back in with the second needle and asked if we were ready. We all cuddled and kissed her again, all of us crying so much. I can't even describe the feeling of losing someone right in front of you in your arms. Thursday the 29th of January, 3:27 p.m, she took her last breath and my heart was broken. We are all hurting so bad and cannot seem to find any kind of closure just yet. We know time is the best healer, but it's so hard when your best friend of 10.5 years just leaves one day, never to return. I cannot wait to reunite with Maisy at the Rainbow Bridge. Until then, sleep tight, Maisy.